Hello everyone, this is Damien for another video in Path of Exile 3.21 Crucible League. So if you saw from my previous video, I was going to switch to Wardloop, and I did that already on Friday, which is 2 days ago, but I didn't have much time to record the video, so I'm going to do it now. So before we start and I start talking about the build, I have an invitation that is ready here, and it's kind of kind of crazy. I actually don't even know if I can clear this because some mods are not very good. Reduced effect of non-curse aura, they gain frenzy, power charge and hit, they have increased cast speed, attack speed, more damage, I have less resistances. It's gonna be a tough one, but let's see. Okay, one death so far, it's not too bad considering the mods. Well, don't really know what happened here. 2 deaths. Actually, I know what happened. It's probably because my resistances are much lower, so if I get hit by any elemental damage, it hurts. Well, that's what I would call a fireworks of elder bases. I don't know what GGG has done there, but anyway. So this invitation was 98 chaos from this, 14 chaos from this, so we are like at 115 basically. Yeah, so around 115 chaos just for this invitation. It's pretty good. All right, let's go back to the PPT and let's talk about this build. So this build is low budget. By that I mean it's pretty much the minimum currency that I would put into this build for it to feel good. But it's not cheap, so it's around 30 divines. I am 1 day late with this video because I wasted 8 divines. I tried to craft a belt which I didn't need, but it's the first time that I play Wardloop on a low budget, so yeah, things happen. Sometimes you make mistakes. So disclaimer, what I mean by low budget, as I just said, is 30 divines. It's not low, but it's a low budget for a Wardloop. If you want Wardloop to work well and to have no problems, you should spend around this money, in my opinion. Um, the chest by itself is around 9 to 10 divines, so it's already a third of a total price. So that explains why it's a little bit more expensive this league. You could go cheaper by having less ward and a different weapon, because the weapon I choose is Annihilating Light or whatever, I don't know how to say. And it gives you 60% reduced resistances, which is huge. So you need to have you need to have better gear to compensate. So this is not a full build guide. I'm not going to explain how Wardloop works. I'm just going to talk about the gear I have and how I crafted it and share my POB. If you want to know more, there are many videos out there that explain how Wardloop works. And I also encourage you to check Don't Rage Quit Bro, because he's the Wardloop guy. And if you have any questions, you can invade the comment section. So what can and can't this low budget Wardloop do? So it can complete your atlas entirely and all invitations. What you just saw here was the twisted invitation with the Elder Guardians, and it was well, we can't see anything here. It was 128 quantity, so it's pretty high. Some with some really bad mods, minus res, monster damage, movement, attack speed, fees as extra called, and many other things, right? But I did what, twice I think, 2 or 3 times. So I think it's pretty decent for the budget. Yep. I think if you want to do the field, it's going to be hard with this budget to do it with like high quantity. You can do it white quite easily, but with higher quantity, if you get some bad mods, it's going to be tough. And some bosses like Maven or Cyrus are a bit tricky because with this build, if you get some degen, then you will just kill yourself. So it's not great. And I think the damage is too low for Ubers. You might get one shot sometimes by fist damage, and it might take too much time to kill them. I'm not too sure. I haven't tried, and I don't think I will because I'm not interested in farming Ubers. But yeah, maybe if you run them white, you can do it. I'm not too sure about that. I wouldn't try personally, or maybe just once. Okay, that's it. Let's go back to the game. So you saw the build here in action. I'm gonna go out of this and show you the POB. Not the POB, the gear, sorry. Alright, so I'm using this Annihilating Light, which is 60% reduce elemental resistances. So yeah, so we need a lot of resistances to compensate. So you need better gear, that's why it's a bit more expensive. But if you want a lower budget, there is another weapon you can use. And of course you need less resistances, so it makes it cheaper. And I am not using power crit on hit or some power charges on crit because I have another way to get power charges. So cast when mistaken, Bone Shear, Freezing Pulse, GMP, and Divergent Creeping Frost. The two rings are the same. They have 420 physical damage taken. Nothing crazy there. The Runic Crown is okay. I don't think the intelligence is needed, so it will be better to have some resistances or higher resistances. Everything else is okay. The ward is pretty good actually. And if you want to know why I have 30% quality, is because I've been farming Betrayal, so it's kind of easy for me. But the reason why I said it's tough with resistances is because here you see I'm not even capped. My cold res is missing 1% and my lightning is missing like 8%. That's why whenever I get shocked, uh, if I have some bad map mods, I can die quite easily. And one way to fix it would be to get higher resistances here, or get some resistance here instead of regenerate life per second. But it's working this way, and even though I die a bit more often because of this, I don't really want to invest more right now, so it's just gonna stay like this. Yep. Okay. And I have Hatred with Eternal Blessing, of course. It's what we use with Wardloop, Flame Dash, and Rageous Fire. Rageous Fire is extremely important because it gives you 39% more spell damage, so that's huge. Let's try something here. 11k and then 15k. So yeah, when I put on Rageous Fire, it's a huge difference. From 11 to 15 is like what, 30% more damage or something like that. It's just insane. So with this budget, you need to have Rageous Fire on all the time. I chose to get the Pandemonius because it's kind of nice. It gives you some pen, some res. It shields enemies, so it's nice. And the Anoint is just for damage. The chest is the one that is expensive. The last time I checked, it was around 10 divines. I bought this one for 8.5 because throughout the day the prices goes up and down, and I waited for the time that it goes down the most to buy it because I think now this is like a T0 unique, so it's quite rare, so it's more expensive than last league. And if you want to get a Lord, which is better because I mean, which can be better because it have +2 to level associated gems, is gonna cost you around 20 divines because there are a lot of keystones that will just destroy this build. So all the cheap ones are cheap for a reason. For example, if you get Blood Magic, it will remove all mana, so then this build doesn't work anymore. So that's why those ones are way cheaper. They're like 3 or 4 divines. Another one is Avatar of Fire. I forgot where it is. Let's just, because I've seen this one in trade quite a lot. Should be around here, right? Am I blind or something? Maybe. Oh, it's here. So this one will convert your physical, cold, and lightning to fire. You cannot deal non-fire damage. And since I'm using Ice Spray, I'm dealing cold damage. So this will also break my build. So that's why I went with a Loyal and not a Lord, because I don't want to spend 20 divines. There are some people who use a rare amulet with +1 level to all skill gems, so they get +2 instead of +1, but I choose not to do that because I think it would be more expensive. Boots, I was kind of lucky on the suffixes here, tier 2 and tier 1, but the lightning is a bit low. Yeah, so this is the same. So to craft the boots, the helmet, and the gloves, I've only used dense fossils here. That's it. And it took me less than 100 of them to finish all 3 items. Gloves, helmet, and boots. And my ward is around, yeah, is 1.2k, which is pretty good for this budget. It's more than decent. The belt, this is where I lost 8 divines because I tried to craft a belt that was like more advanced. But actually for a budget Wardloop, we don't need that belt. And I crafted it in Sanctum as a league practice. But the problem is that when I did that, I was extremely lucky and I didn't realize that. So I tried to craft the same here, but 8 divines later I had nothing. And then I realized I can just buy a fractured flask charges use base. It doesn't have to be the Stygian Vise, it can be just heavy belt or whatever you need. I chose this one for the strength. And then you just spam Veiled Chaos Orbs with nothing else, just Veiled Chaos Orbs. And once you get something decent, some life, some resistance, and you unveil cooldown recovery, and you know maybe you can be able to craft increased damage, then your belt is done. So this belt shouldn't cost you more than like 50C or something like that. But maybe the prices went up now, I'm not sure, because the base is pretty nice. The gloves are the same as the helmet and boots, nothing crazy there. As much ward as you can, and then some resistances. I don't think the dexterity here is mandatory either. It's just I got it, so I kept it, but I think it could be replaced by a resistance. I was just kind of afraid to lose the tier 2 fire, but you know, not a big deal. So the way I crafted those is I used the dense fossils for the prefixes, and once I was satisfied, I used exalted orbs and eldritch annual to finish the suffixes, because the eldritch exalted orbs are usually more expensive than a normal exalted orb, so that's why I did that. Okay, so now for the flasks. All rough of course has a 28% quality, and a 42% increased charges per use is enough. Even if you have 41 or 40, it will only say consumes 56, so you don't need 40. 42 is good. Then if you have 43, then it will consume 57 charges, so then it's not as good anymore. So this is the best in slot. Of course, reuse at the end of this flask effect because we really want to sustain this flask or we will kill ourselves. Then I got a silver flask for onslaught and immunity to freeze, chill, curses, and stuns. This flask is also a perma, as you can see. If I touch it, it will be perma quite easily. Even though the duration is only 4.1 seconds. Yeah, so it also needs to be 28%, otherwise you cannot sustain. So these two flasks, they will be reused at the end of this flask effect, which means every time you go into a map or you change the area, you have to press these two flasks, right? But for those two, because they last a lot longer and they consume half charges of what they can have, half of their maximum charges, it's a lot easier to sustain. So what I did is I enchanted used when charges reach full instead. And the reason why I did that and I didn't do reused at the end of this flask effect is because these two flasks, I don't have to take care of them. As soon as you get into the map and you start moving, they will just activate themselves and I don't have to take care of them. So instead of having to like piano flask for 4 flasks, I can just touch 2 flasks and I'm good to go. So touch 2 flasks, then do a weapon swap, and then the loop goes on, and it's okay. Right? I might have a small issue here because I think my mana, it takes a lot of time to go up. See, it's down for quite a while. So there's probably something that I need to do there. Maybe some of my gems are too high here, so I take too much damage. Like if I take away this link and try again, yeah, it's actually pretty much the same. So yeah, don't know. I might try to have a look later, but not now. So that's it. Of course, weapon swap. You need to have a. It's on this one. I was almost scared there. You need to have triggers level 20 spectral spirits, or the loop doesn't start. And try to level up some gems. I haven't done it here, but I should. Okay. So of course here I have arc, sniper's mark, cast when I'm mistaken, and then phase run because I like to go faster and have phasing. It's pretty nice. It gives you phasing, so it's nice. You can just go through enemies. And the boots, they have the skeleton links. So Anomalous Summon Skeleton 1120, Forbidden Rite 1, Cast when I'm mistaken 5, and Anomalous Minion Speed 2020. That's it. So yeah, for these ones, I spammed Dense Fossils. For this one, I used Vel Chaos Orb, and that's it. The tree now. So as I said, my resistance is very low, it's not capped. It's because I could improve a gear, but I have a lot of jewels with resistances. I have 1 here, 2, 3, 4, even some chaos, and 5. So I have 5 jewels with resistances. So that's why this weapon is a bit tough without being Omni, because it's much harder to get your resistances up, even though I have my flask with additional LRS. I'm still not capped, so you need a lot of jewels, which is not very good, because instead of having resistances, you could put something else, like an unnatural instinct here or something like that. But yeah, for this budget, it's just what it is. For the clusters, so I bought this one. It's only 2 mods. I wanted the res, so this one was like 40 or 50 C, I'm not too sure. And I like to use Storm Rider because it gives me a power charge when I shock a chilled enemy. My Asper will chill them, especially with this. And then my arc will shock them. So then I will gain power charges like this, even though I just have a 5 link here. And I have another one, but this one is 3 mods, 3 nods, and I paid around 2 divines for this one. For all these ones, I have 3 of them. I just spammed Chaos Orbs. until I get fasting and some other decent 2 mods. And I put 3 of them to make sure I can sustain my flasks, and that's it. All of these overdue, I just bought them, of course. All of them, I just bought them. Of course, you need corruptible immune or you're gonna die a lot if you don't have that. And this one is the one that I already had on my Renovero Artillery Ballista starter. So as I said in that previous video, I just kept it and I'm using it now. It's for more damage. If I had a better belt with maybe flask effect duration, I could probably get rid of like one entire jewel here and then put another like this. It would give me more damage, but for what I am doing, it's not necessary. Yeah, that's pretty much it. For what I'm farming right now, so I kept essences, I kept betrayal. Now it's super easy because with this build I can just one shot or like instant phase Katarina, so it's super easy. And I am doing invitations, mostly elder invitations, because I think like the guardians, the elder guardians are easier to deal with than the shaper guardians. Like Minotaur is super bad. He deals a ton of physical damage. I will die a lot, and it's kind of annoying. If I had more damage, then yes, it would be interesting to do. Because the thing is, with where is it here? With these maps, like if you use an Orb of Horizon, you can just change them to any map you need, right? So you can buy 50 of the same map, 50 Minotaur, and then you use this and you turn all of them into a set, right? So that's super practical. But for these ones, you can't. It will just change the layout. See, barrows, terrace, but it's always a constrictor. So yeah, that's kind of annoying, but it's what it is. Now, if I wanted to upgrade this build, I would try, of course, to cap the resistances is extremely important. I would try to get an enchant with +1 I spare projectile. That would give you around 20% more damage. So that would be the big change. I would also try to get some Awakened gems, like Awakened Elemental Focus. I would try maybe to get an Empower 4 instead of 3. Maybe Awakened GMP. Some Divergent, CWDT. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to improve the damage, but it's going to cost a lot, and it's not what I want to do. So my plan for the next build is to make Lightning Arrow or Tornado Shot Deadeye and go some MF. So it's going to cost a lot of currency. So I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to post another video. Could be next week, could be in 2 weeks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, if you have more questions, you can just post them in the comment section. I say thank you for watching and see you in the next one.